Hey guys, and welcome to my project on space diving. Today I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know about the sport and why exactly it's the coolest chapter in the whole Tomorrowland book. So the chapter primarily focused on Felix Baumgartner and his Red Bull Stratus campaign dive of around 39 kilometers. His jump from a helium balloon in the stratosphere set the altitude record for a manned balloon flight, parachute jump from the highest altitude, and greatest freefall velocity. His jump helped to make huge strides for aerospace engineering and also inspired many to create Iron Man-like suits to explore space, which I'm going to be talking about later in this presentation. So let's begin defining where space really begins. Although Felix impressed us all, his jump can't truly be considered a space dive. This is because the internationally accepted boundary between Earth's atmosphere and space begins at the Kármán line, which is 100 kilometers above sea level. This is obviously a far cry from Felix's dive of 39 kilometers, but his jump still provided immense amounts of physiological and aeronautic data that's allowing us to work on even cooler suits for the future. So clearly there are already many challenges associated with space diving from the stratosphere. Now just imagine the implications for true space. This will involve descending through the vacuum of space, which is quite a different challenge than a dive that begins in the relative thickness of Earth's lower atmosphere. In order to achieve true space diving, we have to overcome a lot of technical difficulties. The suit must be protected against extreme temperatures, pressures, and a lack of oxygen. At these heights involved, low pressure may cause decompression sickness or ebullition. There is also the possibility of a suit breach, which would cause the space diver to lose both oxygen and protection. Even though supersonic speeds will be achieved, more oxygen must be carried. The suit must be capable of withstanding the heat of re-entry and supersonic as well as hypersonic shock waves. And even on top of all of this, there's still G-forces that are in play here. As a space diver falls through the thin atmosphere to the denser air below, it's possible that they would experience positive or negative G-forces, which may cause pressure-related complications or blackouts. This would cause them to spin out of control, which actually happened for around 10 seconds of Felix's fall, and could cause blood to pool in the extremities, leading to hemorrhages or severe brain damage. Now, on top of the creation of an amazing suit, there's still a lot of obstacles we face. In order to space dive, you have to have a rocket or a suborbital flight vehicle, like the one in Virgin Galactic of X-Corp Aerospace, in order to actually space dive. Jumping out of a rocket versus of a balloon is also a huge difference, and we have no experience with jumping out of a moving rocket, so there's still a lot of testing that needs to be done for this to actually happen. Even though space diving would be super cool right now, unfortunately the business for it just isn't there yet. It's most likely that space diving suits would have to be funded as emergency escape options before we can start having any fun. This in turn may make business sense only after spaceflight firms have launched more than a few space tourists. Many argue that space diving exit from a spacecraft in orbit may end up making less sense than just using entire capsules as an escape pod, but orbital outfitters and other experts in the field see the potential use of space diving suits as backup for these flights. Felix's attempt by itself barely scratches the surface of the technological challenges of true space diving, and a stunt is obviously a far cry from a whole industry. However, there is still hope. This scenario could be similar to the skydiving business in the sense that skydiving originated as parachute makers supplying parachutes as emergency equipment for military and civilian pilots, but recreational diving eventually spun off as its own profitable industry. Similarly, space diving suits initially designed for astronauts or tourists could someday spawn a recreational space jump industry for more people than sponsored daredevils. In more upbeat news, Felix's jump is already inspiring others to create suits that are similar to the ones in Iron Man. A company called Solex is currently constructing a suit that would be able to take individuals 120 miles above our Earth's oceans. They have an ambitious plan to use wingsuit technology and specially designed boots with miniature aerospike engines attached in order to allow the space diver to jump and glide down to Earth with a power-assisted vertical landing. At least that's the plan. They're all set to begin testing later this year. The suit that Solex is designing is named after Major Robert Lawrence, who was in an accident in the 60s and never got to achieve his dream of going to space. What is neat about this company is that they're designing this suit with bigger goals in mind. Not only do they want the suit to be used for sport, they also want to eventually create suits that are going to allow people to explore space by sitting on top of a mini rocket. This would be great for researchers and explorers to get around quickly and could be the next big thing in the future. Here's a quick clip of the suit that they're currently working on.
In the not-so-distant future, a human will board a rocket, sit on an open platform, and launch 120 miles straight up into Earth orbit. Dressed in a high-tech spacesuit, he'll peer through a quartz-coated visor and take in an unparalleled view.
Being in low Earth orbit is spectacular. When you look up, you see the inky blackness of outer space and the stars shining even in daytime. Looking down, you see the hazy blue glow of this gigantic ocean right underneath your feet.
This observer is a space diver, a new breed of ultimate thrill junkie. And as he unhooks from his safety harness and stands at the edge of space, he takes one last look out to the universe and leaps, speeding towards Earth below. Space diving is one of many futuristic ideas planned for Earth orbit. The zone of space that surrounds Earth and begins 120 miles above sea level. To survive re-entry, the skydiver's spacesuit has many critical features. A protective one-piece jumpsuit that insulates from the negative 40-degree Fahrenheit space environment to the 464-degree heat generated from re-entry. Small gas jets on each glove to orient and direct the body during weightlessness. A full closed-loop oxygen system that will recirculate and remove carbon dioxide for the 10-minute trip home. A drogue parachute to stabilize the space diver as they come closer to Earth. And a traditional parachute that will deploy at 3,000 feet for a safe landing. And the journey will be spectacular. In the first 2 minutes of the jump, the space diver will reach speeds of 2,500 miles per hour while in free fall. Atmospheric drag will heat the spacesuit to 474 degrees Fahrenheit and slow the space diver to terminal velocity, 120 miles per hour. As his drogue parachute breaks free at 7 minutes, he will begin to slow down. Finally, at 3,000 feet, a regular parachute deploys, and the space diver lands safely on the ground.
So since that video, the company has added a couple different features to the suits. These include augmented reality goggles, jetpacks for faster movement in space, stronger power gloves, and movement gyroscopes to create torque for researchers. These researchers and space explorers are going to have limited gravity to anchor them, and simply knocking a few samples off of a surface is enough to throw them backwards into an uncontrolled spiral. Lack of gravity also wreaks havoc on an astronaut's physiology and can lead to lifelong difficulties. This is why Solex has since added control movement gyroscopes that create torque and simulate gravity. This would allow researchers and space explorers the ability to get around much easier and help ease the many physiological problems associated with the lack of gravity. So this is going to be the view that the space diver is going to get when they're looking out of the goggles of this new suit. These are Juxtopia's AR goggles, and they're intended to provide the space diver with a constant stream of vital information to assist in course direction and maintaining the dive within the specified safety parameters. Real-time dynamic analytics keep the diver advised on heart rate, respiration, and internal as well as external spacesuit temperatures. The display will provide data on rates of acceleration and deceleration, GPS location, elevation, plus radar display of the local airspace. The design of the goggles include voice control to turn the suit systems on and off, eject spent hardware components from the diver's body at different altitudes, manipulate suit cams and lighting, and to control verbal communications to ground control. So it's basically Jarvis from Iron Man. And here's just a picture showing the yellow real-life prototype Sol-X suit alongside Felix Baumgartner's Red Bull Stratus suit. And don't worry, the left picture is from early 2013. I just couldn't find a more recent picture anywhere on the internet. So in conclusion, I think the takeaway message from this chapter is that if we can imagine it, we can definitely do it. As we read in the beginning of this semester, our imaginations are our only limitations at this point in time. Space diving was first imagined in 1934 by Doc Smith in his science fiction novel Triplanetary. In less than 100 years, we have come from pure imagination to actually diving from 40 kilometers above the Earth. I am beyond excited to see what the future has in store for this awesome sport, and thank you for sitting through my presentation. Here's my bibliography, Dr. Donovan.